Where are prices going to go? Are there going to be more listings? Will interest rates drop? These are the kinds of questions that I'm going to be answering on today's video. If you're new to my channel, my name is Tony Angelos. I'm a Chicago real estate broker, and I'm going to be giving you 5 predictions that I have for 2024. And first, I'm going to get right to prices because I know that's what you care about the most anyway. Where will prices be at the end of 2024? I actually polled all the people in my database. I asked people where they think, whether it was going to be below 5% decrease in prices, stable, above 5%, so on and so forth. And most people believe they're either going to be stable or above 5%. That's kind of where I think it's going to be too. I think we're going to see very moderate growth over 2024, and there's a couple reasons for that. I don't think we're going to see any more blowout growth years like we had in 2020 and 2021 for a while. And that was because there was an economic shock that changed things. I think we're going to go back to more traditional growth that we would expect to see in a healthy, balanced economy. And for Chicago, that's somewhere between the 4 to 6% range. And I think that's where we're going to be in 2024. Let me know down in the comments what you think the growth rate is going to be for Chicago, and if you think there's a certain area that's going to outperform others. Number 2, will there be more listings? So we have been experiencing for a long time a listing problem. And I don't think this is going to go away anytime soon, but I do think we're going to finally start to see some alleviation in this problem. And the reason for that is people just got to move on with their lives. And I think for a lot of people, they've come to terms with that. From the brokerage side of real estate, we talk about the D's, as we call them, the things that make people move: death, divorce, degrees, diapers, debt. These are things that are going to make people want to move. And in the United States today, I think we have a real consumer debt problem. And this is evident. You could look at the data. Credit card debt is like 40% higher than it was in the beginning of COVID. And I think what happened is that most people are not very financially responsible. And for a lot of Americans, they receive the stimulus checks and it supercharged their spending. Most people got a $1,400 check and they doubled their spending. The math doesn't math. So I think what we're going to see is a burst of that bubble, and we're already seeing it a little bit in auto loans, but I think we're going to see more people selling their homes or secondary properties or things like that to pay off debt. And when a lot of people think of housing bursts or a crisis, there's a recency bias. So people are thinking about the crisis that happened last time, which was the housing crisis, the mortgage crisis. I don't think that's going to be the issue this time. It's going to be the credit cards. And I think we're already starting to see it play out a little bit. Moving on to number 3, interest rates, the hot button topic, the thing that everyone's concerned about, the one that I really wish I had a crystal ball for. But let's talk about it. Where do I think interest rates are going to be at the end of 2024? How do I think they're going to play out over the next 3 months, for example? Well, right now, we've been experiencing a decline of rates for the past 2 months or so. If we think back to the fall, rates were above 8%, which is ridiculously high. I think that we could see rates potentially in the 5s, and I think in an extreme circumstance, we might even be in the 4s by the end of the year. What would that mean if we were in the 4s? To clarify, something drastic would have to happen. If you think about 2020, COVID happened, there was an extreme flight to safety. We would have to see something pretty crazy happen in 2024 to experience that kind of decline. I don't want to rule it out though, because it seems that every year crazier and crazier things happen in the world. Let me know what you think. Where do you think rates are going to be at the end of the year? Moving on to number 4, what do I think is going to happen with rental prices? I think rental prices are going to rise, and I'll tell you why. If we think about a balance of buyers and sellers, in times of crisis, rental prices tend to go up, and that's because there are fewer people trying to buy homes and more people trying to rent homes. So if we think about the 2008 crisis, we saw massive growth in rental prices because so few people were in the home purchasing market. Everybody was in the rental market. It really drove up rental demand, which increases prices. Supply and demand, like everyone knows this. So I think that the consumer debt bubble that we're experiencing right now, I think that's going to play into it. Maybe not immediately, but I do think we're going to see rental prices continue to climb. They've kind of leveled off lately, but we saw so much growth in rental prices during COVID, and that was because people were trying to buy and couldn't, and they just started renting, or continue to rent. And this brings me to my last prediction, which is where the opportunity is going to be. Many of my clients are investors or want to be investors. I think what we're going to see happen a lot in 2024 is more people buying multifamily homes to house hack. If you're unfamiliar with house hacking is, I'll link to my guide down below. You could take a look at it. But now with the change in the conventional backed loans, where you could purchase a 2 to 4 unit building with 5% down, which previously was only for FHA loans, this is going to be a game changer in Chicago. And the reason for that is because the FHA has loan limits, which are pretty low. Well, there's two issues with the FHA. One, they have loan limits that essentially eliminate the entire north side of Chicago. Two, they have what's called the self-sufficiency rule. The self-sufficiency rule is it's a mathematical test that they do when underwriting loans, and it applies to 3 to 4 unit buildings. And it also made buying a 3 to 4 unit building almost impossible in Chicago. It's very hard. If you're in the investor world, house hacking is a super popular buzz term, but it's so hard to do in real life because of the FHA's loan limits and the self-sufficiency test. But those are out the window now with the new conventional guidelines. 5% down, higher loan limits. It opens up a lot. You can now buy a multifamily in Wrigleyville or Lakeview or Roscoe Village or potentially even Lincoln Park. It might even fit into the loan buckets. Before, if you wanted to buy a multifamily property, you needed at least 15% down. Why is this such a big deal? And how do I think you should take advantage of it? Well, for one, house hacking is one of the greatest ways to build wealth. It allows people to live for close to free, in some cases free, because your mortgage payment is being offset by the subsidized rent from the other units. And two, the tenants will pay down the building over time, so you're gonna have a bigger asset down the line. So if you're in your early 20s or mid 20s or any time, really, it doesn't matter, this is something you should absolutely consider doing. All this does is it opens the playing field to more people. No matter how much money you have saved, there's a building that you can buy that will fit into a loan program that makes sense. And if you don't believe me, shoot me a message. My number's down below. If this is something that you think that you want to try and understand how you could take advantage of and build some wealth for your future, for your family, shoot me a message. I'd be happy to talk to you. You would be surprised how little money you need to purchase a building. And on that note, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to my channel, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, and I can't wait to see how 2024 pans out for all of us. All right, I'll see you next time. Take care.